And welcome, of course, to Language Culture and Dr. Lou. And today I wanted to talk about this fairly recent news item that's about whether Donald Trump should be encouraged to change our national language from being called English to being called just American, right? And that's not a brand new idea. It seems novel right now, but it's not a brand new idea. This kind of thing had been suggested by some of the founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson, for instance, to make a break from the British colonialism, from the English colonialism and all that. And I think the reason why it's coming back up now is because July 4th is going to be the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, or at least, well, the anniversary of the signing of our Declaration of Independence, which, by the way, was written in English, just like the Constitution was, and all that. And I did a video last year about sort of questioning, is English actually the official language of the US? Which it kind of is and kind of isn't, in the sense that Donald Trump made an executive order in March of 2025, so a little over a year ago, to designate English as the official language of the United States, of at least our federal government. And what that executive order does, in effect, is it makes any and all official U.S. functions, laws, regulations, and public proceedings all must be held in English, according to that executive order. However, Congress also, right after he did that executive order, then Congressman proposed a bill, which would be, what was the name of that bill? It was called the Designation of English as the Official Language of the United States Act of 2025. And that too was way back in March of 2025. And that bill kind of got committed and has been stalled in committees for a long time. Hi, Sunshine. Nice to know that you're here. And oh, uh, looking out for the Northern Lights too. That sounds interesting. Anyway, thanks for being here. Anyway, and so Congress proposed a bill that would legislate English into being the official language of the US, but it still hasn't passed yet. And I'm not sure it's going to end up passing because this is not the first time a bill has been proposed to do this, and it has never passed so far. But still, that's the situation is right now. We sort of have an official language of English because of an executive order from last year alone, but it's never been made into law through legislation by Congress or anything, which means that any future administration could totally overturn this. Now, if it does end up getting put into law, that would be a different story. And so it's funny that this all just happened last year, this executive order, and then the bill getting proposed and all that, which, took a long time for anybody to designate English as an official language, and it's only halfway there so far. But the interesting thing is, to me now, the following year, like I said, our 250th anniversary as a country is coming up on July 4th, which will be 250 years to the day since the Declaration of Independence was signed. And for this reason, there's a writer from the Washington Post who did an op-ed in the Washington Post fairly recently. His name is Rob Lockwood, And on Saturday, just this past Saturday, he was on Fox and Friends. He joined Fox and Friends to talk about his op-ed. And in that op-ed, he sort of said, oh, I have a quote. I don't want to get this wrong with the quote. He said, enough with English, enough with American English. Let's call it what it is, American, right? So that's that's his proposal, is to just, instead of using the term American English, just call it American. And he sort of, again, I think he wants to make a break away from the so-called King's English and the colonial rule of the U.S. and all that. And it seems a fitting time at the 250th anniversary of the country, if we are going to split off like that. But like I said, he's not this first person to ever propose this. Even Tom Jefferson, way back then, was proposing this. But here's the truth of it as well, as seen by a linguist. Okay, I'm a linguist, and so what I know is that American English, that's the official label for English. The English language is spoken in the United States. And so it's how is English spoken here in the US as distinct from how it's spoken in Canada or in Australia or in the United Kingdom. Anyway, no, this is not. Huh. That's annoying. Well, anyway, I will not even designate that comment with a response. Anyway, so we have this whole idea of, should we now be calling the language that we speak American? But again, as a linguist, um, American English, that's the designation we're using so far, because American English, it's not seen as a different language, as a grammatically or lexically a different language from British English, for example. It's just a different variety. I would use the term dialect, but American English can be broken out down into a lot of different dialects itself. So it's a natural variety. Um, no, I'm not high on something. You are free not to be here if you if you don't want to be on the stream anyway. And yeah, um, let's see. So anyway, as how we define languages oftentimes is whether they are mutually intelligible with others or not. If they're mutually intelligible, meaning American folks can totally understand British speakers and vice versa, so that we're actually two different varieties of the same language. That's how, as a linguist, how I see it. And I'm just gonna make a little adjustment here. Anyway, and so in my opinion, we cannot just decide to call it something else other than English unless it has actually evolved to become its own language, meaning not mutually intelligible with other varieties of English. And so far, it hasn't. And I know it's been 250 years in the works, and actually far longer than that if you included the colonial times and all that. And that's weird. Hold on, I'm still trying to make a little adjustment. And Sorry, I'm just trying to deal with a little something. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I'm done making that little adjustment. I put that one user in a timeout. I don't like having to do that, but if somebody's coming on and insulting me and all that, time to go. Anyway, so to me, that's interesting that we're bringing up this idea of calling American English just American. And to me, that might be offensive to a couple groups of people, especially, for instance, if you are English and you recognize that we do speak the same exact language as each other, sort of, and that we Americans would be denying the British colonial history. I could see that that could be offensive to um, speakers from England, as well as people who speak English in other places, like again Canada, Australia, all of those. Because again, we all speak the same language, so I think it seems a little bit nationalistic of a move, and there's no guarantee or anything that that Donald Trump will make a second executive order to declare the official language of the U.S. American, but it doesn't actually mean anything in the sense that that's not how languages evolve from one to another. We can't just declare, oh, this is a separate language called American now, um, because it hasn't become a separate language yet. And the rule of thumb would be, do we still understand speakers of English from different countries? If so, then we just have our own variety of English language. And if not, then maybe it could theoretically be called a new language. That's how it actually works. That's how the evolution will go down normally. And and again, it's kind of funny that now, again, this is Rob Lockwood, who wrote the Washington Post op-ed and who joined Fox and Friends on Saturday to talk about it. I wonder, like, designating our official language as American all of a sudden, only just about a year after the executive order designating our national language to be English, this sort of flies in the face of what the White House wrote when that executive order came out. And what they wrote is, again, I have another little quote. I want to make sure I'm getting the words right of exactly what they wrote. They wrote that all of our historical governing documents have been written in English. Uh, and so that includes, like I mentioned, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all that. So they said, yeah, all of our governing historic documents have been written in English. It is therefore long past time that English is declared the official language of the United States. So that was what the White House wrote to go along with that executive order. And I think you would have to scrap all that logic entirely, throw it out if you wanted to go ahead and declare that, oh no, now we're calling it English. And so that's, yeah, anyway, that's kind of, yeah, perplexing to me that someone could just decide, okay, we'll have the president decide that we call this our common language something else other than it is, and that will somehow stick, that will somehow keep hold. And when that's not really how that stuff evolves, normally it would have to be a whole society wide, a whole culture wide um, movement towards calling this American. So maybe that up ad might get a conversation started and something moving, some movement going, but we can't just have one person or one small minority declare this, because that's not how languages are defined anyway. So that's yeah, that's more or less the yeah, I know. That's a good point, Sunshine. Imagine being so lame that you troll live streamers. It is sad. Yeah, I agree. That is pretty sad. Anyway, um, and distracting from the live stream itself. So anyway, that's okay. Just put him in a timeout of 24 hours. But of course, if something like that gets repeated, he'll be banned from the channel for good. Anyway. Um, and so, yeah, so that's the deal with that big story about, okay, are we going to stop calling American English English and just call it American? And I could understand how it makes some sense to propose that now, along with the 250th anniversary of the country coming up, because oftentimes pronouncements like this do accompany big anniversaries, such as that one. But then again, I don't think that it will actually stick. I don't think that it will actually change any more um, than the executive order saying that we have to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America now, right? That one didn't really work because well, we don't have jurisdiction over the whole wide world and what they call that geographical location. Um, and plus, that's not how languages change. They can't just be forced to change uh, unless, of course, you start locking up every single person who doesn't follow that order. And then you got a country full of prisoners. And so that's not good because, yeah, we don't need any more prisoners at all. Anyway, so yeah, that was the um, discussion I wanted to bring up today. So if anybody has a topic that's actually has a question that's actually on topic, or a comment that's actually on topic about um, should we call American English just American now? And if anybody can think of a good reason to justify that, I would love to hear it. That would be interesting. Interesting to learn how other people are feeling about this, because as I was saying, as a linguist, I can't really agree with that just yet, because that's not how languages are defined. That's not how we define one language versus the other. How we define them is uh, we can only really call a language a dialect or a language variety a separate language on its own once other speakers of other varieties of the language no longer understand the dialect in question. So that's pretty much it. Oh well. Oh well, oh well. So if anybody has any question or comment, I would love to hear it, love to reply. Otherwise, if you're watching this on the replay, please do leave it in the comment section, because, of course, there's no more live chat on the replay. But in the comment section, that's a great place to continue the discussion. And I promise I do reply to all my comments, even if it's just giving it a little Purple Heart. But yeah, I really do love, well, continuing these discussions with the audience. So if you would like to do it, absolutely, please feel free and be my guest to comment in the yeah, comment in the comment section, and I promise I will get back to you as soon as possible, and maybe some other people will chime in with replies to it, and we'll have a more fully developed discussion going on this matter. And since I don't see a single comment that's actually question or comment um, that's really discussing the topic at hand. So I think that will be a good place to start. Um, if you're catching this on the replay, I will happily reply to a comment. So please do put your comments in there. And so, yeah, until then, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will catch you around next time. Bye bye.